Here we go. Okay. Happy day, everybody. You're listening to El Happy Breath Hour. Our intention is for you to learn and practice how the breath can guide you to wake up, let go, and shift your success and happiness in life, in love, business, sports, and beyond. I'm your host, Roberto Suarez, a happy coach. Today we have Lee Duncan with us. She's a professionally trained physical therapist, and it was from her first breathwork session that highlighted the power of the breath. From that day forward, Lee started to undertake a series of courses to learn how to support others in amplifying their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual needs, and thus Intuitive Wellness Company was born. But before we get going, right, we want to take a few deep breaths just to get centered, right? But I just wanted to introduce you and we get going. But let's do a side of relief, like 3 sides of relief for our audience. Some of our audience already knows this breath, right? So this is we call this breath coming back home. You can always do it and you come back to your heart. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths through the nose and then we exhale through the mouth. So here we go. Inhale. Exhale, relax, and let go. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Hold it a little bit. Exhale. Let it all go. Notice how you're feeling. So welcome, Lee. How you doing?
Thank you. Oh, awesome. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. And to see you again. It we're just saying it feels like so long since we've seen each other, but the reality is it's only been, 30 days or so. Yeah, beautiful to be here.
Yeah, it was great being in Australia with you, and
yeah, the breathing's breathing's getting a little bit harder now.
Yeah.
How much I'm pregnant, everyone, so next week I'll be 37 weeks, so so
that was my first question, like, how's the baby coming? Is he breathing?
Oh yeah, we're breathing a lot. We're doing lots of breathing, but yeah, as I said, it's getting a little bit more challenging. The breathlessness does show up a little bit more from time to time, but I think what's nice is I have more of an awareness to it now, which is super cool. And again, it's a nice reminder to just breathe. So super cool.
Yeah, when I went up there, it was great because everybody said, oh, somebody's pregnant, we don't, I don't know, and they do it and everything, and I tell you, take it easy and all that. And our first breath, you're jumping up and down and kicking, and and she goes, what a warrior.
I wasn't jumping that high. I was just,
you were rocking it. It was like pretty powerful. But anyway, so then that actually, I said, okay, it should be okay, But anyway, so if I asked you how you define breath work, or how would you define breath work for you, like, what's your definition of breath work?
I think it's like any sort of routine or series of exercises, programs that involves the breath. I think you've really redefined what breath work is, and I love the breath play concept. And I think, so for me, it's no longer a rigid structure where, you need to be breathing for a certain amount of times. This is you breathe in through here and you breathe out through here and you hold your breath or whatever. Like, it's not as dogmatic as that anymore. I think for me, my interpretation of what breath work is and what can be considered breath work is so much more expansive. And that's what I really loved about the course. I unlearned a lot of preconceived ideas. And for me, it doesn't mean to negate all the other theories out there. It's just to have an understanding that our own bodies and, each situation, each scenario, each individual has different needs at any one given time. And I think it's nice to have that flexibility to, not be so rigid.
Yeah.
And to really look at it as, we're doing breath play now, like,
So, breath play is very interesting, right? Because it's not about, I'm doing work in the breath. It's by playing with the breath. But I had to change my branding. From breath play to El Happy Breath, because breath play in the world of Google, if you search it, it's not something that you want to be associated with.
Oh.
And it was somebody that wanted to partner up with me, and he was looking, hey, I love that, but he looked it up and he goes, Roberto, we can't use this, and I knew that was there, but nobody has ever said anything, so, but I changed it. If you see everything now, it used to be breath play happy hour, now is El Happy Breath Hour.
Oh, lovely. I'm gonna have to look up breath play now.
Yeah, look it up. It's very interesting, what people, but it's okay, because I can still say, breathe and play your way, back to happiness. That's really what I do. So I can use the word, but it's not branding myself with it, because if somebody looks it up, they're going to cancel. Well, they might not,
Look, I think the concept, anyway, that was the biggest thing that landed for me in our 21-day intensive breath work retreat, was just really letting go of this narrative that it has to be done in a particular way. And I understand, certain things, like if we, the introduction of certain modalities, it needs to be done in a particular way, perhaps. But I think that was quite liberating for me,
awesome.
especially, as it was a practitioner facilitating training. It was, very liberating that, you can't really F it up.
And there's so many different breaths, that they're all good. But before I ask you more about your breath story, even though you kind of almost recapped it in the introduction that you gave me, but can you talk more about intuitive wellness and tell us more about that, and then how maybe the breath now can play a role in that, and how you can support your clients? So some people might not know what intuitive wellness is,
Sure. So for me, as I said, I'm a physical therapist. So I have a traditional clinic here in New South Wales in Australia. And so we offer traditional physical therapy services, as well as exercise physiology. I expanded last year. I moved into a new space, and my objective for moving into a larger space was really, I wanted to bring community together. And where I saw my career heading was no longer, and again, not that there's anything wrong with traditional physical therapy, modalities as a modality, but I knew I was passionate about helping people on another level. And I just felt defining myself as a physical therapist or a physiotherapist here in Australia was quite limiting, because it's only associated with, I'm in physical pain. You might need to massage me, do some dry needling, do some sort of manipulation, and give me exercises, and bang, I'm done. But for me, I started finding that the people that I was working with, that was no longer helping them. So at a physical level, it was giving them temporary relief, but there was something a lot deeper that they were experiencing. And typically it's some sort of emotional, mental, psychological, even spiritual block, or, you know, limitation that is being manifested physically. And so, you know, as I said, that first breath session really opened up that connection for me. And I was like, you know, I couldn't rest knowing that, okay, I was inadequate to continue to help support these people. And I just started doing all these courses. And so yeah, I started learning more about the emotional body, the emotional pain body, and how that's related to our subconscious and previous traumas. And I don't know, the name just intuitive came to me, and I've always been called intuitive. And yeah, I just felt like we all know as human beings, as individuals, what's best for us. And unfortunately, with the conditioning that we have, you know, received along the way, either through our parents, through society, through other community groups, we've disconnected from that. So it, you know, I want to use the phrase coming home. You know, I really want to help support people to come back home and come back to self, and to reconnect to their physical body, to learn to trust it again, because I think we've disconnected from it. And what I think is powerful about breath work is that it gets you out of here and gets you back to home. Like, you cannot think while you're breathing, while you're concentrating on the breath. And like, so many powerful experiences have been born from me. I've experienced through breath, and you know, there's no denying that there's something in it.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned a couple of things, you know, about coming back to your body, right? So, and saying how everything is in the breath world, right? You know, they say that all your limiting beliefs and all the stuff are stored in your cells in your body. So Leonard Orr, who was the founder of rebirthing, he always said that, you know, what we have to do first is to clean our body, right? Of all those, because there's 8 biggies, right? Of all the biggies. So you can clear your body so your body can heal, and then you heal your mind, and then you're ready to connect to spirit. But it's so interesting because when people are in pain, or they're like there's a problem, or they're upset, right? What happens is they go right into their minds, right? Which is it's not a good place to be.
No,
right?
not at all.
You're just like repeating yourself, or you're coming from the past or in the future, and you're not feeling your body. So I always tell people, you really want to shift, be able to, first of all, become aware, right? And to become aware of what's going on, you have to feel your body. You know, so it's that awareness. And then be aware of so if you can master your breath and become aware of the breath, you're going to become aware of your body.
And to sort of circle back to the question you had for me, intuitive wellness is what I hope it to be, is going to be like by integrating the breath, integrating like coaching, by creating that awareness. So, you know, and you know, some of my clients who come to me, they're not even aware that there's this narrative that is playing out that is actually keeping them in the fear and keeping them tense and keeping them hostage. And so my job is to bring their attention, bring their awareness to that narrative, to, you know, what's happening internally in the brain, all these limiting beliefs, all these old narratives that keep showing up from the past, you know, the ghosts that haunt us, and, you know, support them by reframing but really it is around the strategies of getting back into the body, and breath is one of the strategies that I use for that, as well as a series of other, you know, meditations, visualizations, and other tools that, because again, one thing doesn't work for everyone, right?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
so for me, it's really important that I have a series of tools that I can provide someone that may be able to work in the moment, or, you know, after their breakdown or whatever it may be. And I think the awesome thing about the breath, for me anyway, it shifts your state in such a powerful way that it can automatically get you out of something. But again, you've got to be willing to receive that gift. You've got to be open to be able to do the work. Because yeah, like staying with the breath can be hard, especially when you want to be up here, which can be addictive, as you know. Yeah,
well, you know, it goes back. It's also like, you know, the physical therapist, you know, like I had to get my knees operated, right? So I had to go to like a therapist and be able.
I remember you telling me. Just breathe.
You know, like they're putting my knee, trying to flex my, you know, my knees because they're like stuck. And that was like painful, and they would keep saying, breathe. Right?
Yeah.
But if I didn't go and practice and go and do the therapy, my knees would have never been the way they are now, where I can walk. And so it's like, it's almost like learning how to walk, but you have to go there and do the practice. Same thing with the breath.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're going to shift a pattern of the breath because you might not be breathing correctly, right? You have to be able to practice enough to change whatever habit you have, so you can breathe correctly and support you in what you're trying to do. So it's like anything else, and doing it consciously.
Yes. Amen. Yeah, I love that. And, you know, and again, when I work with clients, when they're in physical pain, and what's happening to them, they're breath holding, they're tense, they are like, you know, not even aware that sometimes that they're tense. And so, you know, if I'm working on someone's neck and shoulders, I immediately, and I don't even realize I do this sometimes, I look at their breathing pattern. So this is something that I've learned just through my experience as a clinician, that, well, you know, it's not always causative. It's not necessarily that we can say, oh, because they're breathing incorrectly or they're breathing shallow or whatever, that's causing the neck pain.
Yeah.
But we know that there's an association, like they're in pain, they're holding their breath, they're tense. Well, of course, that's going to have, that's going to impact on their capacity to breathe. And so if we can hijack that, be a little bit more conscious, be more aware, that's going to look after one of the elements for me, because we know these accessory muscles like to engage, to pump and help them breathe. And then we can calm them down instantly just by shifting their breath to a belly breath, for example.
There you go.
Yeah. So a little bit harder for me.
So that, you know, so now you're talking about the second key variable of breath work, you know, of mastering breath work. The first one is awareness, you know, and the message there is wake up, because we're walking around unconscious, right? The factors is consciousness, and then the second key is relaxation, and that's where you're, you know, when you're holding your breath and you're tightening up, you're not relaxing, you're resisting. So whatever is showing up in the body is staying there. So the way to release it is to be able to relax, right? And so so the message with relaxation is let go, and we can do that by really relaxing and letting go the exhale. So when we did the sigh of relief, right, just letting go the shoulders, letting go, and just letting go. So that helps release, right? So that's the second variable. And the third variable is, like you said, we can move them into belly breathing, right? To maybe breathe fuller, more relaxed. So now we're consciously breathing. We're taking control of the breath instead of the breath having us, right? So there's different breath techniques, which now you've learned that you can use different breath techniques to be able to consciously be able to shift how you're feeling or what you're thinking or whatever it is, So it's great that you're bringing it into your intuitive wellness practice.
Yeah, and I'm really excited because I haven't had the opportunity to do this yet, but I will when baby comes. But to conduct or to facilitate rather some breathwork sessions, regular breathwork sessions, offer it to my community. Just to bring people together. This is a practice that we used to do eons ago that we no longer do. And then obviously COVID is another barrier. Like in Australia, what's happening at the moment, because it is winter, there's a lot of sickness around. There's a lot of sickness around even before COVID during this time, typically, like influenza and normal viruses and colds. But more so, people want to stay away from each other, let alone be stuck in a room breathing. So, after I have Bub, that's the intention, is to really help support my community, help shift consciousness, and just bring people together, because that's so generative, I believe, for humans.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, the more you breathe like that and bring community, the better your immune system's going to get.
100%.
And so you're gonna be less sick, right? And if you do, you'll be able to, for example, for COVID, people that have really good lung capacity and with breathing don't have as big problems with it, right? Most of the problems with the heavy cases were people couldn't breathe, because first of all, they weren't breathing correctly even before they got sick.
Yeah. Actually, I want to quickly, I'll tell you a story. I forgot to mention it in our group, but when I got home, my husband and children picked me up from the airport, and my husband rarely gets sick. He was not well. My kids, had been unwell for that whole week, and so they'd have been in and out of school. But I got in the car and I looked at my husband and I was like, "Oh, you're not doing too good." Anyway, so we got home, and for the next 3 days, he was locked up in a bedroom. He was unable to do anything. This is the sickest I've ever seen my husband. Anyway, so he got tested and he had influenza A. And I was just thinking, oh my God, how did I not get it? Because I was actually waiting. I was expecting to get sick. Obviously, being pregnant, that tends to affect our immune system. But it's one of those things. Okay, well, maybe my husband just kept the house really clean and disinfected. I actually don't think that's the case. He's not very good at cleaning. But I really believe that all the breath work that we had done for those 21 days had supported my immune system, and obviously the beautiful food that we were eating as well. Just really, supported my immune system to be able to fight off any of these things, these germs that were lying around my house. So the first thing I did was clean the house, of course. But it's super cool.
So all the elements, the air, the fire, the earth, the water, all that
we were
is,
amongst that.
the more that we can bring that into our life, it supports us, to live a healthier, I call it healthier, happier life.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. and how could we cultivate that, on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis? Like, I think what comes to mind as I speak to that is, this notion of us working our butts off until, we're retirement age. And then that's when we get to experience retirement. And then we're like, cool, now I can relax. And statistically speaking, a lot of people pass away like not long after retirement, right? Like, you lose that drive or whatever. There's so many factors that could influence that. But it's how can we cultivate a healthy, sustainable life now, where we are still part of this society, and living in a way that truly makes us happy. And I think that's what we're all trying to find. But there are some people that you can just see just go to work and just are so unconscious to that they really need to wake up. And those are the people that I really want to touch, because they're typically the sickest. They're the ones that come to see me because they've got this pain that can't be explained and can't go away, because they're up to the neck in bills and they just don't see a way out.
Yeah. So you said a couple. That's an interesting take, right? That what happens is that people might not start looking at breath work until there's a problem. But the key is to get the people. The thing is to get all the people to breathe before there's a problem.
100%.
Because the problem is probably already there and they don't even know it. So because they're not aware of it, they can't even feel it. And eventually it's going to boom. And how I know that? Because that happened to me.
I think it's happened to all of us. Like,
right.
For us to wake up, like, something had to happen, right? Like, for me to be propelled into this path of, really supporting myself first and foremost, and then that allows me to support others. I had to go through my own crap. So, it is absolutely, those darkest times that we go through, that don't kill us, that obviously either hopefully changes your trajectory of where you're going, and just wakes the shit up out of you.
Well, the good news is there's more people now, because there's more awareness about the breath, and there's more teachers, and and there's more and more people are exposing it and making it more like we breathe anyway, right?
Yeah.
We think we're breathing. That's the thing. Like I did when I always ask people, I've been breathing for 30, 40 years. I go, really? I go, how are you breathing now? They can't even tell me, right? So it's a breath. It's really breathing us, but usually it's breathing us incorrectly because of some trauma or something from the past. So the quicker that you can learn how the breath can support you physically, mentally, and spiritually, it's like a tool that you can have for the rest of your life that you can use, right? Before something terrible happens, to your body or to your mind, or even a spirit coming in, but so that's what I try to tell people, right? Like you're breathing anyway, become aware of it, learn how to relax, and become conscious of different breaths that you can use to help you attain peak performance, better well-being, and your full potential. because you can go to work, but what would it be like going to work every day, coming from a space of flow and love, and instead of like, you have to work, fear, I don't like being here, so it's all a shift in our consciousness, and the breath is a tool that you can use. And then with all the intuitive stuff that you're doing, with somebody that is in pain, they got all the tools to be able to heal, and live. Listen, if the first thing you have to do is heal your body so you can feel good. If you can be making millions of dollars, you can be doing this, but if you're in pain, it's not a good thing, but it's easier for people to take pills and do all this stuff, and they think that, but that's again resistance.
Yeah.
So
it's really interesting because, like, since coming back from the retreat, I've had so many people, I just love the power of the universe, the ether of what's happened, and the container that we were in really has shifted things for me. But when I got back home, I got all these messages from people that wanted to have conversation and just collaborate. I had another podcast request to jump on her podcast, and I've done that. But so many opportunities have presented themselves for me to be able to spread the word and to speak from the heart. And there was something that happened in that container that allowed these opportunities to come to me, to magnetize to me. I truly believe that. And what I love is, and what I've been able to reconnect to from the breath, is for me to be able to remember and realize why it is I am doing this, what my purpose is, why I am on earth, what it is I am designed to deliver. And it just excites me so much because, during the course, I was winding down, I was just like in a little cocoon and in a bubble, and obviously, just trying to connect to Bub. And, I had 2 weeks left when I returned from the retreat of clinical work. And so now I'm technically on maternity leave. So it's so easy to disconnect from my purpose, like the bigger picture, right? Because I'm in this, little bubble that I'm trying to nurture. So it's beautiful that the universe has brought me reminders of, okay, Lee, yep, beautiful. You stay in your little bubble for now. You keep cocooning yourself, but the work is going to start, once it's waiting for you, inevitably. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak and articulate that, because I think it's so important for us as individuals to be able to communicate our deepest desires and what it is that we are born to be doing on earth. Because I think what's sad is a lot of us don't get that opportunity to even find out why, how we can serve our fellow humans. So
That's beautiful. That's awesome. So we've been talking here for a while, but let me ask you, what advice, right, you will give your 21-year-old self?
Ooh, okay. The only advice that comes to mind would be just enjoy the ride. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Whatever needs to happen, the amount of times that you need to fall, there's a reason for it. So pick yourself back up and just keep moving forward and keep chasing after whatever it is that you feel you are called to do. So it's really funny when now thinking about talking to my 21-year-old self, it's such a big difference to where I am now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like the lack of awareness. But yeah, again, just knowing that everything that had to happen happened for a reason, and it's beautifully got me to this place today, and I'm so grateful. Yeah, so grateful.
And so now let's step to the future, right? Like in 2032, 10 years from now, what was like your main story? What happened in the world?
Like looking back,
Yeah,
as if
like
it's 2032.
Yeah, you're in 2032, right? And what happened in like the last 10 years?
I want to say I became fearless. Like I learned, it was life's too short to be scared of taking chances, to fail, to fall, because that's one of my biggies, right? One of my biggies is lack of confidence in myself and all of that. So, overcoming that
that lack of confidence, you're like the master confidence.
But the inner child.
Yeah, the inner child. But when all of a sudden you have to step it on, you're like a lioness.
And it's funny that you say lioness, because that's what I'm seeing. Like I was physically seeing like this depiction of me as an animal, just like reclaiming, and it's a beautiful image that you've painted for me. And it's just I think just stepping into my power and reclaiming what is already mine, and just being fearless about it, and really just honoring that I do have something to give to the world.
And I see like a huge community in New Wales, like people breathing and doing group work and everybody healing.
I would love that. So good. It's a beautiful image, and absolutely one that my husband and I have beautiful plans to really cultivate something regenerative for us, like for the work and that we will be delivering to the world, but also to help support our fellow man and just help wake them up and shift and do all sorts of awesome stuff.
So what would be like one thing that one breath, what for people that are listening, that you would recommend that they can take away today, like a breath that you love to do?
Oh, my favorite one, I've got a lot of favorite ones, right. But I think we always really don't realize the power of the soundless breath. So even just doing, the 5 slow but very, very quiet breaths in and out through the nose, but just giving yourself that stillness, that peace, God, the serenity that comes from just trying to be as quiet as possible. I think that's a really
and be like
that.
That's like breathing, like that's like you were saying, the 20 breath technique, but real slow, four short breaths, real slow and quiet through the nose, then letting go through the nose or the mouth, but not making any noise, and just following it. And do that. And the last one, you take a deeper inhale on the 5th one, and you do that 4 times. Yeah, that's a powerful one.
Yeah.
Because that's when you can observe, when you get that quiet and that silence, you're observing the spirit coming into you.
Oh, I think what I love about it is we often neglect, well, myself anyway, as well, the power of subtlety. I think my bias as a clinician is to do something and rub deeper sometimes. I think get into that spot. But what I loved was the surprise of the subtlety of doing something like that and just being as quiet as possible. You really have to work hard and train this to quieten down and yeah, you're reconnecting to the body. This guy, the internal narrative that gets drowned out. So yeah, super powerful.
I love what you say, internal narrative. I go the stories that you keep telling yourself.
Stories, yeah.
Yeah, so just know for the audience out there that when you start putting attention on the breath and be aware of the breath and you put attention on the breath, you can't be in the breath and in your mind at the same time. So that helps start relaxing those thoughts, and the subtlety that you're talking about, that's where the relaxation really comes in. Instead of forcing, it's like just just moving through it. And sometimes you have to breathe fast and heavy, and sometimes you breathe slow, sometimes you jump in ice buckets, and sometimes you jump in warm water. So all the breaths are good, but that one that you picked is like a very powerful breath to do after any heavy stuff that you do, and then to go right into some sort of meditation, because it is a meditation,
Yeah,
it's very powerful.
It like I found I've instinctively gone to it if my nervous system is wired, if I'm overcharged and I want to calm down, so maybe before bed. And again, I'm using the pregnancy as a lot of the experiences because it's bringing up a lot of opportunities for me. So I've had a lot of insomnia. So I wake up in the middle of the night, and so I've used the breath to drown this out, because often it's like I'm thinking about the business, I'm thinking about what needs to happen tomorrow, and yeah, it's been such a helpful tool for me to impact my nervous system, to calm it down and allow me to move into what it is that I want to do.
Wow, that's awesome. Anything else you want to bring up before closing?
No, I think it's those 3 weeks with you and just learning about the breath and again, just unlearning preconceived ideas that the body knows. it's such an awesome and liberating lesson for me, because as soon as I dropped the belief that I had to do it in a particular way, because I'm a clinician, we like recipes, we like we like certainty to be able to do things. So I want to thank you for that, because that was probably my biggest lesson, is not to be too rigid, because I do have a tendency to want to follow a recipe of some sort, but to just play with it and allow your body to move through an experiment. And our needs change all the time, so super cool.
So before we close, right, how can people get a hold of you? Are you doing anything? Now you're gonna have a baby.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure there's gonna be lots of time when I'm not sleeping, changing nappies and feeding, that I'll be probably on my phone. But you can find me at Intuitive Physio on Instagram. And I've also got a website, www.intuitivewellnessco.com. So have a look, reach out to me anytime. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to, have a conversation. But yeah.
Yeah, it's so awesome. There was so much wisdom on what you were talking. It was like, what was it, just to the audience, right? What was the biggest learning that you guys got from this conversation today? And the and the breath technique. Maybe we should practice like a regular 20 breath technique, just one quick one, so they know what it is.
Okay.
And then we won't do the soft one because they won't know,
Yeah.
But we can say, now you can do that very, very soft and quiet. So we're going to do 20 breath technique where we're going to breathe in the nose and out the mouth. You can do in the nose and out the nose, or in the nose and out the mouth, but we're going to do this 20 breaths so you can hear it and experience it. So it will take us about a minute to do this. So I'm going to lead it, and then everybody follow. Okay, so it's 4 short breaths and then 1 long one, and it's circular, which we don't pause. There's no pause. So here we go. Ready? First set. In the nose, relax out the mouth. Second. Third. Fourth. And then the last one, take it in deep. Let go. And we pause. Now we do this 3 more times. So here we go. Second set. The 5th one, take it in deep. Third set. Take it in deep. And then the last set. 3, 4, and the last one, take it in deep. Hold it a little bit. Let it go. Close your eyes. Notice how you're feeling. Keep relaxing. When you're ready, you can open up your eyes. Just observe how you're feeling. Now, when you do the real slow one, it's real soft, in and out the nose. And quiet, but you do the 20 breath just like we did, and take your time. So that was awesome. So for our listener, we love for you to, maybe write down your biggest learning, maybe in El Happy Coach Facebook page or Instagram, El Happy Coach, right? Send a message, right? Or maybe send a message to Lee of what you guys learned from this conversation, and hope to see you in our next podcast. So everybody, just make sure you breathe happy, live happy. Until next podcast, be safe and just be happy. Be your happy self. Ciao.
Bye.
Namaste.